Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. All right, let's move on to the tweets though, while we're waiting for that to come through.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a healthcare centric thing because that's what everybody's talking about right now.
Of course, we're all united in our feelings about this.
Yeah. So Danny CLZ. CLZ, I'm Canadian. What the fuck did I say Z for? Says, a single-payer system in America is fundamentally unrealistic. For this to work, taxes would need to increase significantly. Exacerbating economic disparities would require a complete overhaul of our government structures, which is not aligned with the principles of a capitalist system. Okay, first off...
Thank you for the hydrate, Arachne. 2, we used to have a 90% tax rate for the wealthy. Like, fuck this.
It's not aligned with the principles of a capitalist system. Well, then fuck your capitalist system. Who cares?
Why is the system important?
If people dying because they can't afford health care is an integral part of the capitalist system, then maybe the capitalist system ain't very good. Okay, there's a hat. There's a hat, and I've seen people requesting the octopus hat, so I will put on the octopus hat. Yeah. There we go. You happy? I stuck my head up an octopus. But, yeah, so here's the thing, though. It genuinely baffles me that people don't seem to realize that, like, yes, having socialized healthcare makes your taxes go up. But you know what goes down in response to that?
Your healthcare costs.
Health insurance premiums. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The most I have ever paid for healthcare in Canada on my taxes, because it's an itemized thing, you can see what you pay for healthcare in your taxes. The most I've ever paid for my family of 5. I'm gonna use 5 as the cap because my partner files taxes separately at the moment. And 5 was the biggest family number that I had. Most I ever paid for healthcare was $700 for the year. For an entire fucking year. That wouldn't even cover the monthly premium for a family of my family size. Okay, we're at 32.63, which I believe is past 32.58, so I need to put my Rhino onesie on. So you need to entertain him again while I get changed.
I guess I do have to do that.
Yeah.
I guess I do have to do that. It's amazing to me how often people defend systems. I think it's our normalcy bias. There's actually a word for this. And normalcy bias literally just means I am used to this thing, therefore that is the way it should be. And I feel like a lot of people fall for it. They just go, oh, we've always done this. We've always been this capitalist system, so this is the thing we should do. This is the good thing we should advocate for, without realizing there are better ways. There are better alternatives. There are better ways to operate than the ways that we've been doing. But people don't want to consider those. The reason that socialism is a 4-letter word in the United States is because it's not capitalism, and people have a normalcy bias. Axolotl says normalcy bias. I thought that was my tism. I mean, it certainly helps. It certainly helps. But no, that is the actual word for when you just accept it. I mean, we can also call it the fallacy of tradition, but like in terms of what it is psychologically, when we're not using logic and pretending that we're super smart. Also, hi, welcome back.
Okay, I've got 2 layers of fabric in between me and the headphones right now. Maybe I should take the hat off.
Welcome back.
Hi.
We were talking about the normalcy bias for a little bit.
Oh, with regards to how Americans think their healthcare system is normal?
Yes.
Just because that's what they've been exposed to?
Yeah, it's literally like you underestimate the likelihood of a potential hazard or the likelihood that things can be different because you are used to how things always are. It is the continued belief that things are going to continue operating the way they are, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like,
it's also the reason why if you hear a gunshot, you might think that it's a firework first, because that's the thing required for things to keep operating okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, like if you're Like, if your taxes go up by $700 a year, that's not insignificant. But if your healthcare premiums then go down by $1,500 a month, I feel like that more than covers it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I just don't get how, like, it's just stated as though nothing else would change. Your taxes would go up, everything else would stay the same. No, you don't have your premiums anymore. You don't have your co-pays anymore. You don't have your deductibles anymore.
You have less fucking stress in November.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I don't get why this is so difficult for some people. Oh yeah, so Lizard says women logic. And it has a picture of Luigi. It says, I literally just murdered someone, with a woman going, my hero. And then RFK Jr. saying, food companies are poisoning us. And the woman saying, bigot, wacko, conspiracy theorist.
Because food companies aren't actually poisoning us, because that's not what poisoning means. They think that poisoning is something that happens over the course of 50 goddamn years. That only happens in fucking Game of Thrones. I'm sorry. No. It's food companies are using cheaper ingredients, and those cheaper ingredients are having adverse effects. That is not the same thing as actively poisoning us.
His solution to this is deregulation, where food companies will be able to actually poison us, and there will be nothing anyone can do about it.
What was that one clip? I forget what it's either a show or a movie, but it was about FDR doing the New Deal. And you see him with a bunch of other like executive types, and he's going over a policy change that he thinks needs to happen in regards to the meat industry. And everybody has these plates of steaks there. And he goes, well, now, gentlemen, I think while we're here, it would be a good idea for me to read off the report that happened recently from your meat factories, and points to one of the people there who's actually owns these factories, and starts talking about the tuberculosis that made its way into the meats, and just all kinds of shitty stuff. And everybody just kind of slides their plates away after just humping the idea of deregulation for a quarter of a minute.
Yeah. All right, so I forgot to show comments. So someone donated $65 anonymously and said, ooh-onesie.
Ooh.
And then Atoa T donated $5.69, says, as the sender of the ooh article, I am pleased by Cyrus's suffering.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, I'm curious which one is mine now. I want to know. It's the title of the file is my ooh. So this one is me.
Ooh.
That sounds like your ooh-oos.
Ooh. It does.
Ooh, small beans,
Not
little
that one.
babies.
That one doesn't sound like me.
Ooh,
That's
small
definitely me.
Ooh.
That one was weird.
Ooh.
These,
Yeah, no, it's...
I think those are all me.
No, this one's me.
You just sound like me.
Well, I was imitating you when I did it. But like, as we established when you guessed it on my channel, and
welcome to my channel.
Yeah, when you imitated me, we actually have similar enough voices that some people do get confused.
That we can actually do that shit.
So like, yeah, no, the fact that I just have an ooh on here that's mine that I forgot about for months.
Ooh.
And sounds like you is just funny to me.
Fair enough.
Okay, back to the tweets. So yeah, RFK Jr. saying food companies are poisoning us. Like, not in the way you mean, and your solution is just going to make it worse. So yeah, he is a bigot, wacko, conspiracy theorist. And yeah, I literally just murdered someone. My hero, yeah, but the person he murdered is literally responsible for the deaths of thousands of other people.
Why do we cheer on the guy who's responsible for the deaths of several slaves in the emerald slave mining trade?
Here's the thing though. So you saw that guy that killed the mentally ill person on the subway just got acquitted?
Yep.
And the right is praising him as a hero for defending the people on the subway.
Yeah, they always do this shit.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if you see someone who is actively killing hundreds of people and you kill that person, the right will see you as a hero as long as you are actively killing those people with your violent actions in the moment, not if you are killing those people through your policy decisions or your seeking of profits over all else. So, like, Luigi didn't do anything different than the guy on the subway. Arguably, he did a better thing because the guy on the subway was like it was just a mentally ill person having a rough moment and was not necessarily dangerous to the other people and could have been subdued without killing him.
He just mumbled under his breath, I might as well just go to jail now.
Yeah, so like not something that needs deadly force applied to it. And the right is hailing him as a hero. So
Rallis,
like,
do you need to go outside? Is it 10 o'clock enough for you?
it's 10:20.
Hold on. Let me let her outside.
Okay.
Come on, Growly.
Do you expect me to entertain these people by myself when
Let's go.
after I did that to you twice? Making you entertain these people? Little Firecat says, I deliberately put videos on that are 2+ hours to fall asleep to. No autoplay. Yeah, and actually I think YouTube is kind of stifling that now because they've introduced this new feature where like after a certain number of videos autoplay, it's doing the Netflix thing where it's like asking you, are you actually watching these things or are you just sleeping? So having longer videos might not be a hack for much longer, but it still works. Sounds like you said it to try and sound like Cirrus. Yeah, that's what was going on with that ooh. And honestly, both statements are horrible. Yeah, it's like, yes and no. I agree, but I also disagree. Like, I get it. Oh, no. We're getting ahead. Don't know what I clicked there, but we can't go to the next one without Cirrus. What if he just swings about talking? I don't know. Lexi Kitty says, I kind of love that my dog is apparently on the same schedule as Cirrus's dog. Yeah, my dog is still at the point where she will just pee in the house if people don't take her outside. And like, it's not that she will come and get us to let us know that she has to go outside. She will just pee in the house. Just be like, nobody is here at the moment, so I'm just going to pee. And yeah, what's great about that is I said that in a video kind of as engagement bait because I knew like everybody would give advice. And like, as I was saying it, I'm like, all the advice people are going to give me is stuff that I have tried already, guaranteed. And 100% of it was stuff that either stuff that I've already tried or stuff that doesn't actually work the way people think it does, like the rub their nose in it shit. Like, no, that doesn't actually work. Toy Story and Lilo and Stitch Christmas movies or nah? I'm going to go with no on those. I don't remember Christmas even being a part of them. Like, Toy Story is Andy's birthday mostly, is it not?
Oh, well.
Rosina says, RFK Jr. killed 83, mostly infants and children in Samoa. Too dark for charity. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so, no, that is a good point, is that RFK Jr. is literally responsible for the deaths of children because of the conspiracy theories that he's been promoting. So, yeah, he's a big conspiracy theorist wacko who kills people through his conspiracy theories. So it's weird that they can idolize people that kill dozens to hundreds to thousands of people through policy decisions and promoting conspiracy theories, but one person who directly kills someone is like, oh no, that's a bad thing. But then another person who directly kills someone is a good thing somehow because it was a mentally ill person that person killed. So we are at 3283. Oh, what do we need? So 3258 is what got me in the onesie. So if we get to 3508, Cirrus will give us an uwu. But yeah, we are just about a third of the way to our goal. We were like, God damn it, I can't do mental math I can't do mental math ever. We are $17 away from being at a third of our goal. So that's pretty great. Sirs, your dog is taking a long time to pee. What the fuck are you doing? Get back here, you asshole. Cyrus. Maybe instead of Puddles, you should have named her a good girl for peeing outside. No, because then we'd be saying that inside all the time. No, so the main problem with Puddles is that she was initially trained on pee pads when she was living on the 8th floor of an apartment building, and it was not practical to take her outside all the time to pee.
Whoa.
Becky says, I'm a good capitalist comrade. I buy a pillow. Aw, thanks. Don't buy the hats. The hats are expensive. I bought the hat. The hat is on the way to add to the hats, but they're like $70 Canadian, and it's like, oh, why is it so expensive? But yeah, no, Puddles was trained on pee pads inside on the 8th floor of an apartment building, and so she knows she's supposed to pee outside, but because that was her initial training, she
They
thinks
were piss posting. Got it.
yeah, no, she thinks of things inside the house that are just on the floor as like, well, if nobody's taking me outside and I have to pee, that is a valid second option. And so she'll pee on like the mat that we have by the door that you're supposed to wipe your feet on when you come in the winter. Or if somebody like one of the kids drops a towel on the floor, she'll pee on that. If one of the kids puts a sweater on the floor, she'll pee on that. Like, that's actually legitimately one of the ways we get the kids to clean up after themselves is like, do you want Puddles peeing on that? Because that's where Puddles is going to pee on that. And so people have been, and that's one of the things, like people in that video have been telling me like, oh, you just got to not give her pee pads anymore. I'm like, we stopped giving her pee pads like a year and a half ago. Like, it's not the continuation of the pee pads that's the problem. It's the fact that she was trained on them to begin with. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's a thing. Behavior doesn't modify just because something is no longer present. It's one of the reasons why you're told when you're training a cat how to use the litter box that the first place to put a litter box it's supposed to be the first place they try to pee. If they try peeing somewhere in the house and you don't want them peeing there, you put the litter box there. That's your step one, because they already associate that place with bathroom. Now you just add bathroom means pressing your feet into this litter.
I've never actually trained a cat in the litter box. Because Periwinkle has been my only cat that I've owned as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I got her when she was 7 years old and she had already been litter box trained. So for me, the most difficult thing about that was like, we wanted a litter box to be in the basement where people don't have to smell it. So it was like moving it slowly from the places where she was familiar with to the less familiar place of the basement was all that was required there. It was just like, okay, it's in this spot for a week. Now we move it a little bit further, and it's in that spot for a week. Now it's a little bit further.
Yeah, that's entirely fair.
Oh, I'm guessing from the words in that URL that's that PMAT that is dog grass, that like it's fake grass inside. We've tried that. She doesn't do it. She doesn't go for it. It's not enough like a pea pad, and it's not enough like real grass, so she just ignores it. Yet everybody's giving me advice, and it's all stuff that I've tried. So don't worry about it.
How much of a giant jump would you say a 4080 Super is over a 4070 Ti?
I don't fucking know. I got a 3080. I know somebody funded your fucking graphics card.
And then something funny happened where apparently the listing on Amazon was $400 off from the actual price. So now the options are either bank that money until the price of the card goes down, which apparently it's not going to do because production has halted on them, or pick up a 4070 Ti, which is actually affordable at that price range, which is still...
I'd say a 4070 Ti is more than enough for your purposes.
Yeah, it's still better than what I'm using right now, and it'll let me pull this thing out of the rig so it doesn't end up going on the fritz again. Right now, things seem stable. Saki did a bunch of stuff to the PC, but I also spent enough time with it unstable.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Matthew Iglesias says 2 charts you need to look at simultaneously to understand. Americans spend more than foreigners on out-of-pocket healthcare. Okay, first off, it's not American versus foreigners when you're looking at world data. It's Americans versus other countries. It's
Yeah,
like,
they're not
I am not a
foreigners
foreigner
anymore.
because I'm a Canadian living in Canada. That is not a foreign. But fun fact, when working at restaurants, if you had an American table that you didn't like, you could do things to them, like ways you could piss them off without technically being rude. Was like if they try to pay with American money, be like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't accept foreign currency. And the word foreign just like triggers them. You're like, what do you mean foreign? This isn't foreign. This is American. It's not foreign.
What do you mean
You're like,
foreign?
okay, well, guess what? You're in Canada. American money is a foreign currency here because we use Canadian dollars. But yeah, so like the use of the word foreigners there is just whack to me. So Americans spend more than other countries on out-of-pocket healthcare because their healthcare sucks. And Americans have a relatively low out-of-pocket share of healthcare spending. So I'm not entirely sure what the second graph is, where it's like the share, like out-of-pocket share of current healthcare expenditures. I think what that's getting at is like how much you pay directly for the actual healthcare related stuff as opposed to how much is covered by the government. In which case, like, I don't know, that doesn't even make sense though, because oh no, that does make sense, because if you're comparing it just to what's covered by the government, then what health insurance companies pay for wouldn't be included in that.
I just know this post made me angry when I read it.
Yeah, no, like I don't know. I've been having trouble even parsing out what that second graph means in the first place. It's like out of pocket expenditure, because like Paul Enns, he'll tell you he had cancer. His entire out of pocket expense for the entirety of his cancer treatment, and this was like way before he was a YouTuber, was $50 for parking. That's it. And that would not be included in out-of-pocket healthcare expenditures. So, like, how Canadians spend 14% of their healthcare-related costs are out-of-pocket, and Americans are only 10%, when, like, an American with cancer is going to have all sorts of bullshit to go through with their insurance companies. I don't understand how those numbers came out to be what they are.
Isn't it so great that a show like Breaking Bad can exist in America, predicated on the completely broken ass medical system in America?
Paul is what Breaking Bad would have been in Canada. You have cancer. Okay, let's treat it. Okay, done.
Cool.
Yeah, so like I'm not sure what these numbers even mean, but like Americans spend a lot on healthcare compared to what they get. And this person even acknowledged that in a later post where they were talking about how the outcomes suck because like American life expectancy is pretty low compared to the rest of the developed world. So like, I don't know. I don't know how those numbers even work. But they follow that up by saying one possible read is that this shows Americans are wildly overspending on healthcare. Yep, that's what it is. You're overspending because so much of that spending is tied up in administrative bullshit where doctors have to constantly go back and forth with insurance companies trying to negotiate getting medication that the people need. Like so much of healthcare spending in the States is administrative bullshit that has to do with insurance. If you do single payer, socialized healthcare, that middleman gets cut out and all that expense is just gone. It just evaporates. It's no longer a healthcare expense. You just don't have to worry about it. The doctor prescribes you the medication and you get the medication. And that's all that there is to it. But then they say another possible read is that healthcare is a superior good and Americans spend a lot on it because we are rich. Like, I don't think that's it.
We're definitely not rich. That's not the reason. That's
I mean,
when I got fucking
compared
angry.
to the rest of the world, anyone that lives in a developed nation is rich, and the developed nations are, when looking at world population, the minority. So, like, you and I are in the 1% when you think of it from a global perspective. But
From a global perspective, yes, but also from the global perspective, you've got to start comparing us to like Germany. Like you've got to start comparing our situation to the other developed countries as well. When
where you
do
point out
that-
where things like maternal mortality is on par with the developing nations in the States, because all the developed nations have socialized healthcare where they don't have to worry about being in an out-of-network hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as Tom Curry mentioned in a recent episode of, I think, Cognitive Dissonance, it was either that or Citation Needed, I'm not sure. He's a podcaster. He mentioned that when his ex-wife was pregnant, they were in an in-network hospital with an in-network doctor, but they needed like they're like something went wrong with the pregnancy where they needed like an extra test or something, and because they wheeled them to a different department of that hospital, that department of that hospital was out of network, and now we've got a $6,000 bill that we need to worry about paying. Like, that story was fucking wild to me, because I'm like, when my wife was pregnant, we just went to the hospital, and when like intensive care was needed, we just did the intensive care because that's a thing that they do at the hospital to save people's lives, and we didn't have to pay shit for it. Like my middle child spent the first 2 weeks of his life in the neonatal intensive care unit, and I did not even think about finances that entire time, because it's just like healthcare that you get for living in Canada.
You just have it.
Yeah. So the idea that being wheeled to a different department of the hospital could make you suddenly have to pay several $1,000s is just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I legitimately consider, like, when my wife was pregnant, we actually considered, like, there are benefits to dual citizenship. So, like, should we go to the States to have the baby just so it's born in the States and now it's a naturalized citizen or whatever, so we have dual citizenship? And then we found out the cost of having a baby in the States. It was like, oh yeah, that's not possible. We'll just stay here in our socialized system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, you don't spend more on healthcare because you're rich. You spend more on healthcare because your healthcare system is inefficient.
Yeah, you spend more on it because you have to.
Yeah, like, you have private insurance companies where their whole point, like, as a publicly traded company, like, whether you think they're legal, whether you think they're ethical or not, doesn't matter. Legally, they are required to increase shareholder value.
Mm-hmm.
And the way insurance companies do that is by denying claims. So you literally have set up a system where companies are incentivized to not provide you health care when you need it. And you have to pay them a shit ton of money in order to be denied.
Which
Like,
is fantastic. It's perfect. I don't want anything to change in the system of
Americans
God
love their
bless
healthcare.
America.
Americans love their healthcare.
We overpay on it because we are rich.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a two-parter. So Mila Joy, this is just a mediocre to bad joke. It's not even a little bit good. It says, cows produce milk, bees produce honey, chickens produce eggs, women produce humans. What do men produce? So first off, I'd like to point out that the first three are all like, these things are producing edible things. So like, we're atheists here. We can eat the babies.
Eat the babies.
Eat the babies.
Tasty.
Women produce humans. Women produce babies that atheists can eat. There we go.
Uh-huh.
Like, I kind of get it. This is like saying men are useless, whatever, and moderately amusing. Okay, sure, fine. It's not a great joke, but I see what you were kind of going for. Do you know who responded to this one? Kevin
Andrew Tate?
Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo.
Oh no.
He said everything else. So Women produce babies, men produce everything else in society. Fuck you, Kevin Sorbo. That is not even remotely true. Like, he probably sent that from his phone. The Wi-Fi that his phone uses wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the woman, Hedy Lamarr. She invented not Wi-Fi itself, but she invented the precursor technology that led to Wi-Fi being possible. And Fennec says, I don't know, I've encountered some useless men. Yeah, so fun fact, my partner's kid's dad is one of said useless men. So like he took over hospital duty, but mainly because today was his day with the kids. He was supposed to pick them up from school. So it was more of a, you're supposed to have them, so you should probably do the hospital thing so that when they're done at the hospital, you just go home. I almost would have rather he not been involved and I just do the hospital thing. Because like he's the kind of guy in previous instances of the kids having prescriptions, I have like dropped the kids off at his house and been like, hey, this is what's going on with the medication that's in their bag that I am giving you with them. Please make sure it's done properly. And like, we got an extra one that is for you to keep here so that we don't need to keep sending the medication back and forth. Because he is the kind of guy that like he can't have anyone knowing more about how to take care of his kids than him, because he's got this machismo thing going on where he's the toxic masculinity where like, yeah, no, I know how to take care of my kids. Why would you fucking tell me? And because I am the other guy, he didn't listen to a word I fucking said. He was just like, yeah, I fucking know. I know, whatever. Yeah, I know. And then he didn't know, because even though I told him, this is the medication that's in their backpack, we got an extra one so it can just stay at your house to make things easier for everybody. He sent it back to us because he wasn't listening to me, and he just thought that was the medicine that they had. And so it's like, no, you didn't need to do that. So now we have to worry about sending it back to you because you're a fucking idiot who is too proud to listen to someone else that was at a doctor's appointment that you weren't even at. So it's like, I would have rather he just not be at the hospital. It's like, it was just like, probably just needed some stitches. He doesn't need a prescription for that. So it's like, it's fine. But yeah, no, men suck.
What's worse is that a lot of it we just do to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we really do just do this to ourselves.
So if you watch Lindsay Ellis's playlist on the Transformers movies, she like examines the Transformers movies from all the different film theory perspectives. So there's like queer theory and Marxist theory and feminist theory. And the feminist theory takes up like a whole 3 videos because Michael Bay is not very good at the feminism.
No, he's very much, let's have a woman there just to make her look hot. And let's also make the only important thing about her whether or not she dates the main character. So that she has an interest that is directly useful to the main character.
I love that that's exactly where you went, because that exactly proves Lindsay's point. Because on paper, at least the first Transformers movie is actually quite feminist on paper.
Yeah, but in execution, it's literally like, okay, so I haven't seen Lindsay's video, so I am firing off in the dark. This is off the top of my fucking head. But the skills that Megan Fox's character has only matter because they are important to the protagonist.
The protagonist who does not have a character arc and does not develop at all and is just kind of a piece of shit.
And that's
that's exactly Lindsay's point, is that like, yeah, on paper, if you don't know what the camera's going to do, on paper, Megan Fox's character is a feminist character who is not appreciated because she's a woman. She like, nobody appreciates her skill at mechanical stuff because she's a woman. They just see her as eye candy. And like that actually is a meaningful statement. But when you look at what the camera does, anytime she's doing any of the mechanical stuff or talking about how people don't appreciate her, the camera is zooming in on her midriff and her cleavage and her ass. So it like the actual visual medium is not agreeing with what she's saying. It's saying like, yeah, no, You are an object just to be desired by men. It doesn't matter that you like mechanical stuff. You're just hot. So, like,
We
yeah. Yeah, no, anyway. Kevin Sorbo sucks. What's funny, though, is if you log into this account with an account that can see proposed community notes, the proposed community notes on this one, not on Kevin Sorbo's, but on the original, is we produce sperm with a link to Wikipedia. It's like, yeah, men can come. That's what we do. That's what we're good at.
we do produce the spoim. We do that.
Yeah, well, my cum doesn't have any sperm in it anymore.
Well,
Because
that
I
can
didn't
be
want any more
reversed.
babies.
That can be fixed.
It can be, but my partner had her uterus blasted, so doesn't matter.
That's where we go back to the swinging conversation, everybody. Impregnation's back on the table.
And that's what condoms are for. Because condoms aren't just for preventing STIs, although that is what one of their many uses.
Meat's back on the table, boys.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Oh, God. Okay, moving on. Sean McDowell posted a Jordan Peterson thing. I don't care what Sean says. This is one of the reasons I don't cover Jordan Peterson. So, like, let's read this. This is from his book, We Who Wrestle with God. It says, perhaps our reductive materialism is a reflection of something worse than mere ignorance. Maybe if we insist on the deadness and intrinsic meaninglessness of the world to rationalize our unwillingness to accept the immense burden of opportunity and obligation that true understanding of our place in a truly meaningful world would necessitate, perhaps it is not religion that is the opiate of the masses. Perhaps it is instead that a rationalist materialist atheism is the camouflage of the irresponsible. So that whole word salad bullshit, when you boil it down to what he's actually saying, is that people who believe in God have meaning in their life and atheists don't. And atheists use that lack of meaning to do irresponsible things. Like, that is all he said there. That's literally it. But, like, he took a whole paragraph to say it using, like, and like I'm not going to say that using long words is a bad thing, and there's not even anything particularly long or hard to understand there, but like the fact that he can couch such a like simple statement in such verbose terms is just, what the fuck is wrong with, like, this is why people think he's deep, is because he says these things that you have to think about in order to parse them out. But once you parse them out, he's not actually saying anything. Not anything substantive. But, yeah. Okay. So this is, There I Ruined It is an account that they'll like take a song and they'll mash it together with another song, and the fact that it like actually works is usually kind of bad, and it'll like ruin it for people. So in this case, they put together Rudolph the Red-Nosed like they had an AI version of Scott Stapp singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to the tune of Higher by Creed.
Okay.
Which was fucking amazing, and it actually fit spectacularly well and was great. And I was a huge Creed fan in high school, so like I loved it. Clueless Expert for 10-bit says he's not deep, he's just a puppet with a hand in his ass. That would be Kermit, yeah.
What are you talking about? So
I saw that on Twitter while I was looking for tweets for tonight, and it was just like one of those viral meme accounts. And somebody posted in the response being like, hey, There I Ruined It originally did this. Why are you just posting it here without giving credit to that? And this was kind of depressing, is that like most of the responses, like there's a couple that are like, yeah, it's shameful that they did that. And And then this person says it's how this account operates. They basically get people to sign over the rights to their content for nothing in return, which honestly, that's more than most of these accounts do. Most of these accounts will just straight up steal your shit. And then if you report it, they'll be like, oopsies, and they'll take your part out, but then they'll continue stealing other people's shit. That's what Sniper Wolf does. That's what Jax Films is railing against all the damn time. But what's really depressing here, as a content creator, as someone who puts effort into making things that I put out into the world for people to watch and enjoy, people are like, it's Barstool, it's no original content, it's all recycled shit. They're like, okay, but I want you to see the recycled shit on my platform where I actually get credit for it, where I actually get paid for it. And this person's like, calm down, bitch tits. As you are Buffagolian? Shut the fuck up and get back to toiling in the snow mines. And who fucking cares, you dweeb? And cry harder, bitch boy. The tag is in the end. There, I ruined it is not gonna fuck you. Like, no, but like, they're not getting paid for Barstool on Twitter posting their shit without giving them credit. Like, yeah, their logo was at the end, but like, who's gonna see this video on Twitter and then think, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow that account that showed up at the very end of the video that I probably didn't even watch because attention spans are so short nowadays. And it's depressing that, like, I understand that these content thieves are going to be making money because people just click on it and they don't put the effort into finding the original thing. But when someone actually does put the effort in to find the original thing and the original creator and be like, hey, here's the original creator, maybe go look at it over there and give them the credit they deserve, to have people respond to that with being like, oh, you're such a bitch. You just want that person to fuck you. They're not going to do it. They're not going to fuck you for promoting. It's like, no, maybe I just want the person who came up with the thing in the first place to get the credit for coming up with the thing in the first place. Why is that a bad thing?
Instead of arguing for the good things in the world, people would rather argue that they should be allowed to shit on you. You specifically. Whoever you happen to be in the situation.
Yeah, like, who fucking cares, you dweeb? I care, because content creation is my job. If somebody steals my shit and uploads it somewhere else, and you guys all go watch it in that other spot, then I'm not going to be able to make my shit anymore, so I'm not going to make my shit. I'm going to find a different job somewhere else. And this is how you end up with a world of AI generated content that just summarizes movies at you as being, the man was in a room with a lot of people and then the man fought the people.
As opposed to actual stuff that matters.
Content that you enjoy watching because it's actual good content.
And what's funny about that is that eventually that dries up. So, eventually there's no other option.
Fennec says AI slop. So if I could mention, I took my partner to see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra for her birthday last week. And it was a great show, but there was one aspect of the show that really rubbed me the wrong way, is that in a lot of their visuals that they had so if you've never been to a Trans-Siberian Orchestra show, they tell a story, like they perform one of their albums and it tells a story, and then after their album they play some of their greatest hits afterwards or whatever. But like for the story portion, they have visuals that go along with it. And they haven't been doing this for long, I wouldn't think, because this technology hasn't been around for long, but like the visuals that they used were generated by AI. And it was very disappointing to me that they used AI. It was one of those things where like it's kind of on the fence. Like I couldn't tell right at first. Like there were some things I was like, that's kind of sus. Like
eventually you just kind of tell.
Well, so the storyline the storyline doesn't make fucking sense. And it actually, they changed it a little bit from the album, and in some ways it makes more sense, and in some ways it makes less sense. So it's kind of weird, but like, so the storyline is little girl is just wandering around New York City. She goes into a bar because little girls who are alone in New York City want to go into bars sometimes.
Okay.
And then there's a man in the bar that like everybody's having fun. It's Christmas time and they're doing Christmas songs and whatever, and everybody joins them, but there's one man who is grumpy about it and does not care for the Christmas stuff. And then he leaves and the little girl kind of follows him and looks in a toy shop window, and then eventually like you get his backstory, and like he used to be a good person who was happy about Christmas or whatever, but then he had a baby and his wife died during childbirth and the baby was disabled, and he gave the baby up for adoption because he didn't want to raise a disabled baby. And
Okay.
then the culmination is he meets this little girl in the street who asks him, do you have any kids? And he says no, but then he's like, but that's a lie, I do have a kid. And then he remembers his kid that he gave up for adoption. So he goes back to the hospital to see if he can find out what happened to his kid. And it turns out that his kid is grown up and, while still disabled, he now cares for premature infants in the... This is one of the things. In the album, it's they have an entire ward of the hospital that is dedicated to babies of mothers that were addicted to crack cocaine, which is just fucking wild. But in the show, I guess they realized that was kind of wild, so they're like, okay, no, it's the premature infants ward. Like, okay, that makes more sense. But like he walks in, he sees the son caring for these premature infants as a grown man, but who is disabled, and everything is immediately forgiven, and he's all better. He doesn't have to change anything or apologize even, and everything's all better, even though he was a deadbeat dad who gave him up for adoption just because he was disabled, which I didn't care for that. So through this whole thing, there were like little spots where they're like showing the man or whatever and the little girl or whatever in video format on these screens on the stage. And the whole time I was like, this, like, it looks like it's AI, and they weren't showing the faces of these people because, you know, how AI can't be consistent with faces. So it would be a different person every time. It's like they're showing them from behind all the time, and it's kind of sus, and the lighting is a little bit weird, and I don't know, it could be AI, but it could also not be. But then it got to the point where like the man picks up one of the premature babies and rocks it in a rocking chair next to his son, and just the way the rocking chairs were moving, it was just like, okay, nope, that's definitely fucking AI. It's like one of their feet wasn't even touching the ground. The rocking chairs were all like going in circles instead of back and forth, and it's like, yeah, no human would have animated it that way.
No.
So that was a bit disappointing to find out that they had been using AI movie generators to do that shit. But yeah. No, I forget why I started talking about AI, but fuck AI. This is the reason why I hire real people to animate them. Yeah, unfortunately, most of the people there probably didn't even notice that it was AI.
As large language model generation starts to get better, as it gets better at scraping and putting things together, and as people become more desensitized to it, eventually you hit a point where people aren't going to care anymore, which is really fucking sad.
Well, so here's the thing. I am not against AI on principle. And when I say AI here, like large language models and shit like that, it's fancy machine learning. It's not actually AI. It's fancy machine learning. And I'm not against it on principle. But there should be an opt-in to, like, if you post something online to have it used for AI training, that should be an opt-in. It shouldn't be you are automatically opt-in unless you know to opt out. It should be an opt-in. And like the fact that they're violating copyright is just wildly unethical and bullshit, and I hate it. But I also have to acknowledge that, like, it is a technological advancement. It is not going away. This genie is not getting put back in the bottle. And like, yeah, it's going to replace jobs, and there are going to be new jobs that are created as a result of it. And like, it's not inherently bad. Yes, a lot of the ways it's being used are bad and bullshit, and there needs to be regulation about it. That is not going to happen under a Trump administration. Nope. But like, the technology itself is not inherently bad. I've seen people post on social media about like, no AI, no use of AI is ever justified or whatever. It was like, okay, but what about the new drugs that are currently being developed because using machine learning can like simulate protein folding way better than humans can ever figure it out. So they can actually like go through tens of thousands of different potential iterations of protein folding and find the like dozen or so that might result in a usable drug. And so now the researchers can cut 10 years of research into 3 months using AI. That is objectively a good way to use it. I'm not going to fight against that. That's amazing.
But that's also not the same thing as actively stealing and scraping work from other people. That's just that's literally just a system doing
the same technology though.
Over and over and over again.
It's the same technology. And that's the thing though. Like, because it's the same technology, it's like I can't say that I have an objection to this at the fundamental it is inherently bad level, because it's not. It's just a technology. It's how it is used that is bad. And like there needs to be better regulation about it, because like how it is used right now is bad. Like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra show, they undoubtedly used art from people who did not consent to having their art used that way to generate their little 3D video files, where they could have actually paid a real working artist to do that. And like it's not like it was complicated animation. Like I've seen,
it was just cheap.
I've seen YouTubers who are like, they're professional YouTubers, they're not professional animators, and I've seen them animate things better than than their little interludes were animated. So like it's not like it would have been expensive to do, but they just turned to AI because it's easier.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway. Ooh, the transformed wife.
Oh, hi, Lori.
She says,
fancy meeting you here.
I don't believe a wife must submit to her husband if he asked her to do anything that could be harmful to her, such as vaccines, anal sex, tattoos, birth control pills, facelift, or breast implants. So hot take, I actually agree with Lori here. I mean, vaccines aren't inherently harmful. I disagree about whether or not these things are harmful, but no, you cannot force someone else to do these things. I agree. However, she should not agree with that, because Ephesians 5:24 says, now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands.
So it's not that you disagree.
It's not.
It's that the
Bible disagrees. It's not submit in everything except for vaccines, anal sex, tattoos, birth control pills, facelift, or breast implants. It's that you submit to everything. There is no qualifier here. It is everything. So sorry, Lori. I agree that you should have the right to say no to those things. The Bible does not. So I'm sorry that Lori fucking Alexander is more feminist than the Bible.
Than the Bible?
How, like, what the fuck? How fucked up does your book have to be if Lori Alexander is more feminist than it? All right. Wendell asks, what is the best argument against atheism? To which Wrestling Organization Online, also known as Woo, I guess, says, every effect has a cause. The universe exists. So what caused it? Okay, so every effect has a cause. The universe has a cause. Okay. Why does that cause have to be God? Why can't it just be a cause? Then they say, life's complexity hints at design, not random evolution. Okay. Good design is simplicity, not complexity. So the fact that life is complex means that it's bad design. If it's designed. Sorry. Can we truly believe such order came from chaos? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Statistical noise will produce order sometimes. Hey, guess what? The digits of pi, because it is an infinite and non-repeating number, literally any sequence of numbers will be found in pi, which means that somewhere the binary code for Windows XP can be found in pi. There will be a sequence of numbers like that somewhere in pi. Your phone number is in pi somewhere.
Somewhere in there. Because there's a nigh infinite sequence of numbers.
It's just chaos.
Going to be in there.
But it produces order because the chaos is infinite and non-repeatable, so it has to be there. Statistically, it just has to. So, yeah. Moral truths exist. They're not just human constructs. Disagree. I mean, agree and disagree. Moral truths exist, and they are human constructs. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. And where do they come from if not a moral lawgiver? Well, humans are the moral lawgiver. We as humans decide what is moral and immoral for humans to do and not do. And God has nothing to do with it. And if we look at God as the moral lawgiver, he's kind of a heinous, immoral piece of shit anyway, so fuck him.
Don't you love Wendell, though?
Well, this one's more about wrestling organization online. I just like how he asked for one argument and this person just responded with a bunch of questions that like point to a bunch of different arguments that they clearly don't really fully understand. And that's it. That's the end.
Hey, that's it. I heard the noise.
You heard the noise, so we done.
I heard the noise.
So we're at 3283. That's decent. Tomorrow night we're interviewing Richard Carrier, assuming he remembers that we're interviewing him.
Do you want me to text him?
No, I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Okay.
You took care of Jake, I'll take care of Richard. You took care of Jake,
enough.
I'll take care of Dick. All right. So, thanks for joining me. I'm sorry that you didn't have to say,
Oh, whoa.
I am thankful.
you not having to say it means people are going hungry, Cirrus. Do you want people to go hungry just so you can avoid saying,
Oh, whoa.
Do you want me to answer that question honestly? In front of a live studio audience?
is it a studio audience if they're not in the room with us?
It is if I want it to be.
If you guys want to come and sit in that half of my office and watch me stream, you're welcome to it, but we've already gone over this. I will behave differently if there are actual people here watching me. I won't do things that have to be censored later if you're here watching. All right.
Jesus.
Thanks for joining me. We are running a little bit late, so I'm just going to end it. So are you still streaming after this? Should I raid you or?
I am very tired, so
Okay.
I think
I
I am
will
going to lay down.
find someone else to raid. Someone give suggestions, and I will start that while we're doing stuff. So yeah, thanks for joining. And as always, fuck off.